G'day everyone. Any friend of Ivy is a mate of mine, and today we wanted to send you a video instead of a whole bunch of paperwork to introduce myself, show you around the virtual studio, and give you an idea of how we may be able to help, not just in virtual, but delivering value in virtual and in future in-person keynotes. I recently moved from Australia to the US. I now live in Nashville, Tennessee. I am a typical Aussie bloke. Any more laid back, I'll be lying down. But I am here in the US as a keynote speaker, delivering sessions on overcoming adversity, navigating change, and most importantly, using the challenges we face in life to help build a better future. Now, before we dive into what we've been doing in the last 6 months here throughout 2020 with virtual and different sessions, I want to give you a brief idea of who I am. So back at 17 years old, for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to want to become the youngest person and the first teenager in history to fly solo around the world in a tiny little aeroplane. And that is what we did. After convincing my text me when you get there mum that they should let me attempt this, we spent 2 years as a normal Aussie family, not only planning and training and preparing as a pilot, but fundraising $250,000 on a laptop computer. It was wild. What resulted at the end of that planning phase was an opportunity to take off in a rented tiny aeroplane and fly 24,000 nautical miles to 35 destinations, 15 countries, solo around the world. It was a wild adventure, one that took me from Australia across the Pacific Ocean, across North America, up over the North Atlantic, down into Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and then back across Australia to land back in that tiny little airport that I took off from a couple of months earlier. Now, we did break a record, that was all great, but what was really powerful was the way the story spread and who we inspired and encouraged to go out and achieve their own dreams, as cliche as that may sound. So we wrote the book called Born to Fly. I was very proud of it. My nan can tell you every spelling mistake, every page number of those spelling mistakes in the whole book. That's not even a joke. But we released it. It was all good news. I even went on the Australian speaking circuit. I was named one of Australia's 50 greatest explorers. I was allowed to meet the royals. I met Prince William and then Prince Harry. All these crazy cool things for a normal Aussie kid. Now, when we deliver a session, we share those stories and more because we want to give you a sense of just how good life was at that point in time. On the 28th of December 2015, however, that all changed. I was at work on a normal day flying a vintage aeroplane when we had an engine failure on takeoff. And despite my best efforts, over trees with very few places to go, what resulted seconds later was a horrific accident. I was cut out of the wreckage and airlifted to hospital as the only survivor. Now, I had 5 breaks in my back, shattered face, shattered ankle. I was in a very bad way. And I woke up in a recovery ward with no movement or feeling from my waist down and diagnosed a complete paraplegic. Without giving the whole keynote and boring you guys, what happened in the next 6 months was 6 months of hospital-based rehabilitation and then a year and a half total of rehab. A really long journey, not just back to walking. I walk now. I look like I've had a few too many Tennessee whiskeys, but a journey back to flying again. Not just flying modified aeroplanes, but actually completing my commercial helicopter license as a incomplete paraplegic. We decided to pivot to virtual at the start of the coronavirus and the 2020 mess. It has been a huge success. So we've been able to deliver sessions from this studio with 3 different cameras. We have a secondary camera. We have a down-facing camera to run through different concepts on paper. We also have all of the overlaid content, images, and so forth. We have delivered sessions from 8 minutes through to 90 minutes, 8 minutes with companies such as Wawa, 90 minutes with a company you would know of called Mars Incorporated. So we did 90 minutes with a Fortune 100 and it was an absolute hit. So we have a great ability to be able to take the storytelling, the Aussie around the campfire storytelling aspect, which is uplifting, inspiring, motivational. It gives people a recharge, which is what is needed right now. But we also have the content, the 3-step checklist to navigating change, the mindset toolbox, all of these tips and tricks that we can allow you to implement to help you guys not only overcome adversity and navigate change, but then harness the power of adversity to build more resilient, more successful, more driven teams. So we're able to jump on a pre-booking call, work out what you guys want, where that balance is. We're doing another event this afternoon with a Fortune 500 investment company, a very well-known company. And we did just get off that call this week to find out where their people are at. So we're focusing a little more on the entertainment and the story this afternoon with a little bit of sprinkled content. Now, I made the decision when I was in spinal ward to sink or swim, and that's a whole nother story with a shark attack survivor in Australia, but I chose to swim. And right now, so many people have to start swimming. This is about a rebound, this is about a recovery. We are all at that really pit of crisis. Right? We're all struggling, and it's all about deciding to swim.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
I'm sorry, that's terrible, but I had to do it. So right now we want to deliver value. We want to help you guys deliver value. If you'd like to jump on a call, we can show you around the studio. We can talk a little bit more about the story. We can talk a little bit more about the content. We are priced out at about $12,500 for in-person, and we're at about $7,500 for virtual. Now we are, as you can discuss with Ivy at Gotham, we are very understanding of the situation, and we are moving around and evaluating and doing different things with the fee. They're very understanding of how hard it is right now. We just want to help. We just want to deliver value, and we hope we can work with your team to make that happen. Cheers.